Hey, I'm Matthew. If you're looking to learn project management, here's something that you probably haven't seen before. And so whether you're studying to try to get a certification in project management, or maybe you got a job in project management, maybe you're trying to up your skills, because project management is a great skill to have. It's not easy to learn it without actually doing it, right? You got to manage projects to really gain skills. And not just gain skills, but really kind of internalize the terminology, the process. If you're going for a job interview, having a confident conversation with the interviewer about your project management skills. And that's really hard to do if you haven't actually managed projects. Now, I've managed thousands of projects over the years as an entrepreneur, an engineer, inventor, and I created this tool to make it easy for everyone to actually practice project management, because that's really what's missing in school. It's missing in online training programs and so on. So this is a project management simulation game. So it's a game where you actually play it like a game, but it's designed specifically for practicing project management. It's educational. It's not entertainment focused. And so the whole premise is you're put into a role of a project manager, and you have to actually manage an entire project from start to finish. You do everything that a real project manager would do in the real world. And by doing this, you're practicing project management in a way that you could never do before. And there's different scenarios that you can run through. So this scenario is, let's see what it is. It's a premium energy bar. So the company is going to launch an energy bar, and they want me to manage that project. This is actually the project owner, and the project owner is describing the project here in this text that you see here. He's also explaining that I have a budget of $180,000, and my target completion is 105 days. So this is very typical of any project, right? You usually have a budget, and then you usually have a deadline that you want to achieve. And then within that, you've got dependencies and tasks and milestones. You've got assignees, like who's going to do the actual work, and so on. And we actually get to experience all of these things in this very realistic simulation. So the first thing we actually have to do is we do a tutorial, not for the software, but tutorial to understand project management and the key concepts and terminology, because the simulation assumes we don't know anything about project management. And so it's actually going to teach us all the terminology, all the concepts, using very brief micro-learning. And by micro-learning, I mean it starts with a very short video, like a whiteboard style video that you're seeing here. And it's only a few minutes long, so you don't have to worry about watching a video for 20, 30 minutes or anything like that. So it's all very bite-sized micro-learning. So I would watch this video to learn the fundamentals. Then I would do a review of what I saw in the video. And then I would do a quick quiz, just multiple choice quiz, to validate that I've understood what was in the video. Now, this is simply teaching me the basics of project management. But as I go to other sections of the simulation, like here at the bottom, you can see milestones, tasks, planning. Each one of those has a very short tutorial as well. So unlike traditional learning, where a whole bunch of stuff is thrown at you all at once, here it's all very bite-sized. We call it micro-learning. So you learn a little bit, terminology, concepts, and then you apply them in the simulation. So now you can experience them in context, and you can remember them better, you become confident in them, and then you move on to the next thing. It's like, okay, now let's teach you this next thing in a very short micro-learning methodology, and then we can keep moving on from there. So it's a really effective way to learn, and makes it much more enjoyable and interesting and engaging. So here I've learned about the project. I've understood now the fundamentals of project management. I'm going to accept the project, and I've already done that here. And then I can move on to the next step, which is understanding milestones. So every project has milestones. These are kind of big achievements that we want to accomplish. And I can see the milestones here, and I would take certain actions. I've already been playing the simulation, so I'm not actually going to do everything that you would normally do if you were playing it. But I would identify the milestones, go through them, and so on. And then I move on to tasks. And so they're different subject matter experts. These are all virtual characters, and they act as subject matter experts who can help me understand the various milestones and tasks. Because in a typical project management job, a lot of times you don't really know everything that you need to know, right? jobs and tasks that you're not an expert in. In fact, most of the things you're not going to be an expert in. Your job is to manage the project, not necessarily to do the project, right? So you've got to interact with other experts. And that can be a little bit intimidating as well when you're dealing with people who have a lot of experience in a particular area that you know very little about. And that's the other cool thing about playing the simulation is you realize what's the most important things you need to know from those experts as well. So you can feel more confident in your conversations with them to try to extract the key information you need to do your job well as a project manager. So we can look at different experts. Actually, this is our original project owner. Let's go ahead and look at Nora here, who is handling purchasing and production. And so we can look at the different tasks, and then we can review each of the tasks so we can understand what that task means. And we can also then identify the key properties of task, like the name of the task, the duration, the cost, the skill, the dependency, the type of dependencies, that a start to start, start to finish, and so on. And if these concepts are kind of foreign to you, there's no problem, because remember, there's a tutorial at the beginning of each of the steps of the simulation that explains all of that to us and lets us practice, understand what they mean. And so that way, by practicing, we're really going to be able to remember these things and understand the context of them. So we would repeat this process of identifying the name, the duration, the cost, the skill, dependency of every task until we really understand the project. Then we move on to planning. This is where we get introduced to Gantt charts and how to use a Gantt chart. Like, what does all this stuff, these bars and things and these colors, what do they really mean? And that's all explained while you're playing the simulation. And then you actually get the opportunity to move things around in the chart, adjust durations, dates, dependencies, making sure that it's actually, matching what's going to happen in the project. So you actually control the project. So this is not a fixed experience where you just are following steps. You're actually controlling the project, determining who to assign the tasks. In fact, let's take a look at that. This is where you actually go and assign tasks to different assignees. So who do you want to do each task? Each assignee has different budgets and durations and reputation levels. So you can assign it to a 5-star assignee or a 3-star. Now you might say, well, why wouldn't I just always choose the 5-star? Well, it's because you don't have enough budget to hire the best in the world at everything. So you've got to do some compromises, and this is very realistic. That happens every day in every project, constantly, and you actually get to experience it in the simulation. So you're not just watching a video of someone telling you about project management and telling you this or that. You're actually doing the project. You're acting as the project manager. And so you would set up the assignees, you set up your Gantt charts, you do all your planning, and then you can actually monitor the simulation and advance it. So I would click this advance button. In fact, let me go ahead and do that. And now it's advancing the project by a certain amount of time. And look, something just happened here. This is day 37 of my project, and we have an assignee that's in financial trouble and has to delay our project indefinitely. Okay, so that's a real problem. So I've assigned a task to an assignee. That assignee might be a person, it might be somebody within my team, might be a company, contractor, for example. Oops. And unfortunately, what happened there is that the person is in financial trouble. So I have to decide, what am I going to do about that? Well, really what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and fire them because I have to. I can't have my project held up, right? So I've got to go and reassign it to someone else. So I can see here it's event packaging. So I would go to my planning, actually my assignments here, and then I would go to product packaging. It's actually packaging design. Here it is. And now I can choose someone else to assign it to. So you can see right here, the Trends Packaging is who I originally assigned it to, and they were a 5-star reliable assignee. So, who would have predicted that they would get in trouble? So I've had to cancel that assignment, and now I get to choose one of these other assignees. And maybe I have to pay a little bit more now to get it done faster because I'm already going to lose some time on that project. So the whole premise of the simulation is I set everything up and I advance the simulation, things will happen. And the cool thing is it also assesses my performance. So it's actually measuring how well I'm doing, the decisions I'm making, and giving me a score that I can kind of monitor in real time. So this is a really cool way to actually learn project management, but not just interesting, but it's really effective, really fast way to learn it. So rather than reading a bunch of books, watching a ton of videos, playing around with Gantt charts and spreadsheets and Microsoft Project and so on, where you're still not really gaining the confidence and understanding the terminology and the context of everything because you're not actually doing it, this actually lets you do it. This is project management simulation. It's part of our businessXP training. If you go to business-xp.com, here it is, the website here, business-xp.com, you can access various training options. This is just one of them, project management right here, and you can access the various programs that we have available. We have some programs that are available for free, and you can start for free. Lots of free resources as well. And then if you decide to go into the full training program, you'll see the options for enrolling there. It's online, self-directed. You can do it at any time within a matter of hours. Anyway, I'm Matthew Giorgio. Hope you'll check it out at business-xp.com.